Be good. I'll be quiet now.
Okay, we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn about lavalier microphones. I should know about. Usually, I'm the guy clipping these on somebody else.
You got experience? Like you know what you're doing.
Alrighty. Is this hot already?
You are.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.
We are going to start at the very beginning and assume that you know absolutely nothing about playing ukulele, which maybe is a good place to start. Now, if anybody does already know something about ukulele, that's okay. You'll just be slightly better in the beginning, but careful, if you're not paying attention, people who have no experience might blow right by you, because what we're going to teach you is really good stuff. Hopefully. All right, so first thing we got to show you is how to hold a ukulele. It's a little different from what you might expect. Most people expect to hold the ukulele down here and play it kind of way back here like a guitar, but this is not a guitar. It's a little different from a guitar, so you play it higher up on your chest, right about there. How high? Well, not all the way up where harmonica is played, but somewhere higher than the guitar. Where we're going to find where it goes is we're going to take our right arm and move it so our upper arm bumps into the back of the ukulele like that. I'm going to fold it right over the top, grab the ukulele where the neck joins the body, and kind of cinch it in against your chest like a football. This is part of why there are different sizes of ukuleles, by the way, is because people are all built different sizes of people. Kind of like violins, there are different sizes of violins. There are different sizes of ukuleles too. Okay, now what we're going to do is once we've got the uke held in place like this, we're going to take our right hand and open up our fingers and flick them towards the ground. It's very much as if you had water on your hands. You're trying to flick the water off your hands. And right before the water droplets fly off your fingertips, your fingers gently but quickly glide over the strings. And when you do this, this is the way to get the best tone on a ukulele. This style of strum in general is a family of strumming we would call rasgueado. You see it a lot on flamenco guitar. That's the best way to get tone on a uke. So what I'm doing here is I've got multiple fingers. Usually I'm trying to get the strong 3 fingers. If the pinky hits, it doesn't add a whole lot of oomph. So we're not focusing on the pinky. We're focusing on these ones. And the best way to make sure you've got it right sometimes is I'm going to take the uke away. And we'll just look at this motion. It kind of starts off like you're in a hitchhiking position. Thumb pointed. You should never go hitchhiking. It's not safe. Some of you would be all right, though. All right. So start like you're hitchhiking. Thumb pointed away from your body. If you look down, you should be able to see the inside of your wrist and your fingers are curled up. Now imagine you've got water on your hands and you flick the water off your hands and your follow through looks something like that. So back to a hitchhiking position and then flick the water off your hands and your follow through looks something like that. If you've got those 2 points in place, the hitchhiking position and the flick the water off your hands follow through, you probably will sound pretty good when your fingers brush across the strings. Now this is a good trick because it's a good way to make about a $100 ukulele sound like a $300 ukulele, thereby saving yourselves $200 in a free class. Not bad, right? There's also a way to make a $300 ukulele sound like a $100 ukulele. Generally, that's a way to waste $200, but people do that. And let's show you how to do it. It's not evil, but it's just how to not get the most out of your ukulele. And here's how. You take one finger and do that. And it's like, you'll just never get as much tone out of your ukulele with one finger. It's impossible. Nobody can. It doesn't matter what uke or what the player is. So if you learn right off the bat to do this, every single chord you play and every single song you play is going to sound better. Because right off the bat, you learned how to do this. Now, there are some other ways that people strum that have some disadvantages. We're just going to cover them briefly. Sometimes people have a tendency to want to strum with their thumb, which sometimes I'll strum with my thumb too if I want to do a lullaby. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. But we don't want anybody to go to sleep here, so I'm not going to strum with my thumb.
Beautiful.
But the other thing that people do is the opposite of that, which is what we call the angry kindergartner. And that's if you bunch up your hand like this and don't move your fingers and don't move your wrist and you swing from your elbow like you're angry. And if you do that, you get this sound. And you frighten everybody away. Ow, you'll hurt your hand and you'll scratch your poor ukulele. I'm sorry, baby. And all because you didn't know how to strum. So if we learn right off the bat how to do this, it really is a huge, huge advantage. This is the most sound you'll get out of your ukulele and sound nice at the same time. Okay, now that we've learned a little bit about this, should we talk about an up strum? We'll just do this briefly. You don't have to strum in an upward direction. If you want to, you could just strum on the beats on the down strum. But if you want to, you could do an up strum. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to recommend just using one finger. The one, if you hold up your finger and say one finger, that one. That's the one. So after you do your down strum, use your one finger and just gently glide over the strings. But as you do that, you don't want to derail your down strum. So always remember, it's the down strum that's the important one. If doing the up strum derails your down strum, don't do the up strum. Just do down strums, because you do just fine just doing down strums. Okay, now that we've got our strum in place, let's talk about the most important 3 minutes of class. Dun, 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 the left hand. So if you take your left hand in front of you and make a karate chop shape, and then you go, hi-ya! There you go, that's it. We're gonna put the, rest it on his arm, there you go.
That was only that easy.
Yeah, if only it was that easy. All right, clearly I have no martial arts prowess at all, but this much I know. If you put a uke right here on top of your hi-ya, we're gonna call it, you'll have all the stability you need. See, this part of your hand down here never needs to come up and touch the ukulele, and more importantly, you don't want it to, because it'll make it harder to play. So get this part away, and just rest the ukulele right on top of that karate chop. And if you do that, you'll have a number of advantages. One is the uke's not going anywhere, it's on the karate chop. So now we just got to figure out how do we do this and at the same time be able to play our uke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this karate chop, notice I slid it all the way out the neck to where we're going to call this part the chin. This is called the head, this is the neck, this is the body. So where the neck joins the body is the chin, right? So I slide my hand all the way out to where the chin of the ukulele is, where that curvature is on the bottom. I rest my hand right in that little slot there. And then from this point of view, notice I'm about halfway across the karate chop shape hand. So in other words, the uke's not out over my finger like that, and it's not in my thumb pit like that. It's right about halfway, right in the middle. And if you've got the uke there, we can say X marks the spot because it looks kind of like an X. Then the next question is going to be, what in the world do I do with my thumb? Because if you notice, my thumb's not touching at all yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our thumb behind the neck, behind a specific spot, behind right there. So this is called the second fret space, where my finger is right now. Anything in this area would be called the first fret. Anything in this area would be called the second fret. And then the third fret, fourth fret, fifth fret, all the way up the neck, etc. So my thumb goes right behind the middle of the back of the neck. And notice I don't need my thumb on top of the neck, because gravity's already holding the uke down, and my karate chop's holding the uke up, so it's not going anywhere. So my thumb's behind the neck, and from this position, there's 31 different chords we could play. Don't worry, we're not going to learn 31 chords today, but I could do them all from just keeping my hand in this position. So from here, you have an enormous advantage. You're better than just about everybody in the entire state of Iowa, except for the 11 people that I've already met from Iowa and taught ukulele. So is anybody number 12? Anybody from Iowa? Still looking for number 12. All right. If you're in Iowa in the video, aloha. Right. All right. Take your first finger now, your index finger, curl it around really tightly to the bottom string in the first space, or the first fret, as we say. We're going to squeeze that string against the bottom of the, against the neck of the uke. And we have our first chord. This is called C7. It's kind of a bluesy sounding chord. And if you want to double check everything else, you might wonder, where's my thumb? Behind the neck. It's the same place it was in the beginning of class. I didn't move it at all. It's right there still. And you might wonder, where's my karate chop shape hand? Same place we told you to put it in the beginning of class. So if I straighten out my finger, the uke doesn't move at all. Where's it going to go? Yeah, I'm not mentioning any names, but right. All right, so bottom string, first fret. Then we get C7. Now what we're going to do next is we're not going to move our thumb. We're not going to move our hand. We're just going to switch fingers. Take your middle finger and go to the bottom string in the second fret space. And when you do that, you get a new chord, double check, make sure your middle finger's in the second fret space, not the third one yet, but the second one. So everybody look down at your finger and make sure it's in the second fret space. There you go. Found it. This is called C major 7. This was a very popular song, very popular chord for all sorts of songs in the 70s. Some of you were there in the 70s with me. We've only just begun. Feel like I'm there in the 1974 Ford Country Squire station wagon with simulated wood paneling. There I am. Some of you were there too. I don't know. All right, let's go to the third fret space now with our ring finger. Bottom string, third fret space. And when I've got my ring finger down, I don't need my other fingers anymore. I just need the one finger that's the highest up on the string. And I've got my C chord. And just to double check, you might wonder, where's my thumb? Same place we told you to put it before. Where's the karate chop shape hand? Same place we told you to put it before. Nothing's moved yet on the back of the neck. All I did was switch fingers. This is called C. This is our favorite chord because it only takes one finger and it sounds really nice. C, we like it. Okay, now you might wonder, if you're looking at my hand, wondering why I have these two fingers tied together. And you're thinking, maybe I should tie my fingers together, maybe it will help. And no, it's because I have a sprained finger right now. So the good news is I can play ukulele really pretty well without needing my pinky, conveniently, because here I am doing it, right? Other instruments that I play, guitar, bass guitar, are much harder if you don't have the use of your pinky. So I've been changing this week from where I'm scheduled to play guitar or bass, and I just play ukulele instead because I can. Look, I only need 3 fingers to do this stuff. It's pretty easy. And that's good news because most people's left pinkies aren't very coordinated, right? Yeah. All right, let's go back to our C chord, bottom string, 3rd fret. Our favorite chord. Double check your thumb should be behind the neck. Don't worry, I'm not naming names. All right, now take the same finger, slide it backwards to the 2nd fret space. So your ring finger should be now slide to the 2nd fret, and then we're going to take your middle finger, which is available, and go 2 strings directly above that, also in the 2nd fret space. So double check yourself, your ring finger right now. So let's see, ring finger would be this one. So that goes on the bottom string, 2nd fret. And then your middle finger goes right 1 string higher than that. There you go.
It's a little harder to
So
play.
counting, it is a little harder to play, and it's especially harder to play if you have nails. But I know that it can be done because my wife has it. She has nails. Okay, G6 this is called. So count. Let's make sure we've got our position right. From the bottom up, we're on strings 1 and 3, and that's the way that string numbers are counted on a ukulele. It works just like an elevator. That's how to remember it. 1st floor is on the bottom. 2nd floor is above that, 3rd floor is above that, 4th floor is on top. So just like an elevator, right? So we're on strings 1 and 3. And when I do this, I get a cool jazzy sounding chord called G6. Now, if you're wondering, where should my thumb be? Right opposite where my fingers are, right? Normally when you're playing ukulele, you don't flip it out like that. It's just for demonstration so you can see my thumb. G6 this is called, jazzy sound. Now if I take these same 2 fingers and stay in the same fret, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift them from strings 1 and 3. I'm going to go up to strings 2 and 4 like this. And I'm even going to make a sound effect. Try the sound effect with me. So when you move your fingers, you just say in your mind or with your mouth, let's jump back down to the G6, the one that's closer to the ground, G6. Then we go up to D7. Back down to G6, strings 1 and 3. If you want to double check your position here, make sure this is maybe a good point to pause. Make sure that your ring finger is closer to the ground than your middle finger. And why is that? It's because your middle finger is longer than your ring finger, so it's easier for your middle finger to reach up over the top of your ring finger. Does that make sense? If you were to reverse this, could I do it? Yeah. Would it be harder? Yeah. Is it especially harder because I have a sprained finger? Yeah, a little bit. But this is really the advantageous position. I could play it like this, but it would be harder because now I don't have my longest finger. You want to take advantage of the length of your fingers. So this is the best way to play a G6. Ring finger on the bottom, middle finger 2 strings above that. And if you're wondering where should your karate chop shaped hand be, same place we told you to put it before. And where should your thumb be? Same place we told you to put it before. G6. Now we're going to make the sound effect, jump up to strings 2 and 4, D7. It's like the sound effect of the doors on Star Trek. You remember the original doors? That one. Drop back down to G6. So your sound effect shouldn't sound like ba-dum, ba-boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, boom by the time your fingers are there. Just move them at once. Up to D7. Good, that's it. Back down to G6. And up to D7. Good. And down to G6. Now we're getting it. All right, now we need a way to remember which chord is which. Here's how we're going to remember it. G stands for ground level. It's closer to the ground. Does that make sense? G for ground level, resting on the ground. Now we go up to the other chord. Go up to the D7. D stands for D-utter chord on D-utter strings. D-utter one. D7. That's how to remember it, or that's how to remember it. Back down to G6. Ground level. Closer to the ground. Now up to the D7. D-utter one. Good. Back down to G6, ground level. Now we just got to practice one more thing before we can play songs. We're about 2 minutes away from songs. We're going to practice going from G6, slide out to C. How are we going to remember C? Well, the only thing lower than ground level in the state of Hawaii is called sea level. That's right. There, sea level. Ground level, slightly above that, right? Supposed to be slightly above that, unless the waves get really big. Let's slide back to G6 for a moment. Make sure both fingers are in the 2nd fret space. And slide out to C. Remember C, your favorite chord, because it only takes 1 finger. And now it's really your favorite chord, because now that you've tried 2-finger chords, you're really digging the C probably. So let's double check our C. C should be your ring finger on the bottom string, 3rd fret space. So 3rd fret space. So you want to be right over there. There you go. And as you're playing the C, you might want to double check yourself. Where's your thumb? Same place we told you to put it before. Where's the karate chop shaped hand? Same place we told you to put it before, right? Nothing's moved yet. In fact, what we do with kids, when we're teaching kids in the music store, is we take their ukulele and we put their thumb in the right spot. We take a big piece of tape. We just tape their thumb behind the neck. And it actually helps them a lot in playing ukulele. It makes a big difference. Okay. Bottom string, 3rd fret. C. Then when I go from the C, which should be your ring finger ideally, it'll help you with the move we're going to do here. I'm going to take the same finger and just slide it back to the 2nd fret, and then continue on with my middle finger to make my G6. Now what would happen if you played the C chord with a different finger? Would it make that move harder? Yeah, it would. So you might think, well, I can play the C with any finger I want. It's like, that's true, but it's going to make it harder to do your moves between chords. So let's double check our C, bottom string, 3rd fret. That should be your ring finger. C for C level, right? Then slide backwards to the 2nd fret, turn it into a G6, and we've got our G6. Now we're ready for songs. So looking out across our demographic and not knowing where everybody's from, I'm going to guess that you've all heard of Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Here we go. Crying all the time. You ain't nothing, C, 1 finger, but a hound dog. Good. Then back to G6, crying all the time. Holy cow, it's a multi-platinum hit. Up to D7, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend. G6 of mine. Now, how do we do that? We played an Elvis song, we played Hound Dog. How do we do it? We used 3 chords. The most important thing was stability of the uke through the whole thing. If you keep your ukulele stable, this is a lot easier. Now, what would be the mistakes people would make? Number 1 mistake is what we call guitaritis. I know we're playing an Elvis song, you'd think guitaritis would be okay, but on a uke it's actually a big disadvantage. Guitaritis, stage 1 guitaritis, is when you pull your arm back this way because you really want to strum over the sound hole like a guitar, but it's not a guitar, right? That's stage 1. What happens after stage 1 guitaritis? The uke gets very wiggly, so it slides down to here. That's stage 2 guitaritis. What happens if you keep going? Stage 3 guitaritis. Now notice that my thumb is completely out of position, and you can't put your thumb in the right position. You can't do what you're supposed to do with your left hand when you've got stage 3 guitaritis. And then stage 4 guitaritis is this. Well, that's not, I mean, it's, it's kind of a happening song, but, but it should be up here. I could play it with even with a sprained finger on a ukulele. It's a lot easier. Okay, so the trick here is stability. So don't get guitaritis on the right side. The other thing is, as we've mentioned a number of times already, karate chop shape hand, and keep your thumb behind the neck, behind the 2nd fret. All right, let's move on to Bob Marley. Once we've played the Elvis song, we didn't only teach you how to play one song. We just taught you how to play like 100,000 songs. So we're going to show you what some of them are. So let's go back to our G6. Make sure both your fingers are in the 2nd fret space. That's going to be our starting point. And in fact, for the last song we played and for the next couple songs we're going to play, if you ever got completely lost and you wanted to just play one chord, the most important chord to play would be the G6. And here's why. It's because it's the correct chord about 72% of the time. So you could smile and strum G6 and you'd be mostly right, and you look good because you're smiling. G6. So if you ever get lost, smile and strum G6. You're probably right, or if it's not the right chord, it's going to be the next chord anyway. We always go back to G6. Don't worry about a thing. Little whistle solo. C. Every little thing is gonna be G6, alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. And C, 1 finger. Every little thing is gonna be G6, alright. Rise up this morning, good. Both fingers up to D7, smile at the rising sun. That's it. Back to G6, tree little birds. Pitch by C, my doorstep. That's it, good. Now back to G6, singing sweet songs. And up to D7, melodies pure and true. Saying C, 1 finger. This is my message to G6, you. All right, so we got Bob Marley and Elvis Presley. It's the same 3 chords. It's like they got together and had a convention and decided, okay, here's what we're going to do, boys. And the Beatles were there too. They said, we're going to write really good songs with 3 chords.
I like that kind of stuff. I try to play guitar and I need 3 chords songs.
It's fun. Now the thing is, because what we're trying to do in Hawaii especially, this is worth noting because we're in Hawaii and we're learning ukulele, is we're trying to learn how to play ukulele together with other people. If I play something that nobody else could play, why? If I was going to do that, I could have stayed at home. My dog Roxy there will listen to me play songs that Roxy can't play. You know, waiting for a piece of bacon or something. But let's try the same 3 chords. Let's do a Beatles song. We'll do Here Comes the Sun.
Oh,
G6. So make sure you got your fingers in the right spot. This should be your ring finger on the bottom string, 2nd fret. and your middle finger 2 strings above that. Let's double check, everybody. Make sure we're not stuck on a C chord. All right, G6. Looks like we got G6s all around. Little darling, it seems C. The ice is slowly D7 melting. Back down to the G6. Little darling, it seems C. Like years since it's been D7 cooling. Back down to G6, and here comes the sun. Ba-dee-da, C, 1 finger. Here comes the sun, and I say G6, it's alright. Up to D7, and back down to G6. We'll take a little pause here. See how it's the same 3 chords? It's a little trickier though because we got to move the chords a little faster, but it's the same 3 chords. G6, second verse. Little darling, it's been C, a long and lonely D7 winter. Back down to G6, little darling, it seems C, like years since it's been D7 cooling. Back to G6, here comes the sun. Ba-dee-da, C, 1 finger, here comes the sun. And I say G6, it's alright. Up to D7, back down to G6, and here comes the sun. Ba-dee-da, C, 1 finger, here comes the sun. And I say G6, it's alright. D7, back down to a G6, a little tremolo for stylized ending. Alright. Alright, now can I make that song harder?
Yes.
Of course I can make that song harder. But do I need to make that song harder? Maybe is a better question. The answer is evidently not, because we sound pretty good just strumming it with 3 chords. So you may never know if that's all I know on a ukulele. Maybe that's all I know. And you know, who is this guy? What is he doing teaching our ukulele class? And that's fine, because the most important thing, what we're trying to do, the best ukulele player in the room isn't the guy that plays something that nobody else can play. Nobody cares. The best ukulele player in the room, from like a Hawaiian point of view, what we're looking for is the guy who all night long he can play songs that everybody can play with him, and it's like it's a miracle. Like it's not a miracle. Yeah, I mean, it's 3 little chords, 3 or 4 chords. You can do all sorts of stuff on a ukulele. So are there more than 3 chords? Sure there are. Do we need them? Not yet. All right, let's double check. Is it anybody's birthday this week? Because I don't like it. Is it really?
Yeah.
3 birthdays?
Wow.
Okay, let's see.
Wow.
4? We have 4 birthdays this week. Okay. We're going to get all your names. Don't change positions, though, because I'll get all messed up. All right. What's your name?
James.
James and?
Gemma.
James, Gemma.
Damon.
Damon? James, Gemma, Damon. Does it start with a D?
Mike.
Mike. Okay.
Okay.
James, Gemma, Damon, Mike. James, Gemma, Damon, Mike. Okay. We're ready. Dun, dun, dun. Happy birthday to James, Gemma, Damon, and Mike. G6. Make sure we're both on. Make sure everybody's on a G6, even the birthday people. G6. Make sure you've got your ring finger on the bottom string. I won't name which birthday person of James, Gemma, Damon, and Mike. All right, G. It's your birthday. What the heck, right? G6. Happy birthday, D7 to you. Happy birthday, G6 to you. Happy birthday, C, dear James and Gemma and Damon and Mike. G6 again. Happy birthday, D7 to dramatic pause. G6, you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. It's a good song to know. It's a handy song to know because you never, birthdays are all over the place. #1 party song, I think, in the United States of America still. Written in 1912, I think. Ripped off from another song, though. Okay, let's see. What would be next? We could do a Hawaiian song. Could we do a Hawaiian song? We're in Hawaii. We should do a Hawaiian song. So this will be a song that's in Hawaiian language. So don't freak out when I start singing a song that you don't know in a language that you don't speak. The good news is, unless you do, maybe you do. The good news is that it's the same chords. We could do the whole class with Hawaiian songs, but from your point of view, unless you know the Hawaiian songs, you might think these are obscure Hawaiian songs, but they're if you live here, they're like, oh, I know that one. Just like you guys know Happy Birthday. Let's try this. This is called Puamana, G6. It's a hula song, but I can't dance a hula. I would injure myself. I have no idea. But we can teach you how to play the song. It's the same 3 chords. G6. C. Kuhame. G6. Lahaina. D7. Menapua. Kuhame. G6. Aloha. Up to D7. Back down to the G6. Good. C. Kuhame. G6. Lahaina. D7. Menapua. Kuhame. G6. Aloha. Up to D7. Down to G6. C. Ike ulu G6 okanigu D7. Okanigu kukilikila. Penape G6 mali. Up to D7. Down to G6. Haina. C. G6 Kapuana. D7. Kuhome Ilaina. Ipihameka. G6 Haoli. D7. Down to G6. Good. Up to D7 again. Back down to the G6. All right, very nice. So if we had a hula dancer, the hula dance, typically the way this works is if there's somebody who knows the hula, they'll just come up and dance the hula, which is pretty cool, except I don't know how to do that again. But the ukulele part, that I can teach. It's way easier than hula. Let's see, let's pause for any questions. Any questions so far about right hand or left hand or ukuleles in general? Now's a good time to ask.
2 questions. You say you keep your thumb up here. Do you play over the sound hole or up in here?
Generally speaking, if you strum between here and here, you're going to get a warmer, fuller tone on your ukulele.
Not over the sound hole.
And if you play here, you're going to get a brighter, sharper, more aggressive tone. And if you play here, it's going to get rapidly very tinny. So there's an advantage on a small-bodied instrument in trying to get as much warmth out of it as you can. So if I play here, I'm going to get more warmth, and that's a lot of times what we're looking for. Now, if I were to jump back and play something more of a solo, I might come back here, because I'll get a little brighter tone. It'll cut through the background a little more. I could play it up here too. It's a little warmer. So those 2 things, when you put them together, if you have people strumming chords where it's nice and warm and smooth, and then any little solo thing you have that comes up, you can come back and pluck it back here, you get a little bit of a brighter tone. And then those 2 blend together nicely. So that's part of how to learning to play together. It makes a big difference. If all the people playing chords are playing back here, you end up, generally speaking, depending upon the quality of the uke. If you have a really good quality uke, you can get away with a lot. If you have a not quite as good ukulele, it really helps to learn what we're teaching. Yes?
Which runs into my question. You see them out there for anywhere from $19 to, $300.
Yeah, that's a good question.
How do you know as far as size and
in general, a tunable playable uke starts at about $60, and below 60, it's so rapidly falling. By the time you're at 55, it's like, why bother? If you go between about 100 and 150, you're getting a pretty good sounding uke. If you go 200 to 300, you've got a good enough uke you can play on stage. If you want to, you can go north of 1,000, and like there are really good ukes out there. Some of the ukes we've passed out, we like to pass out a variety of ukes just to sort of give you a sense of what's out there. The one you're playing right now would be about $300. That's a good uke, good enough to play on stage. The one you're playing right now is about $900.
Oh.
So you should sound really good. But if I don't have the one I'm playing right now, this is a Ko Aloha. This one's about $1,200. But if I switch, can I switch with you for a second?
Sure, please.
Okay. So now I'm going to at about 110, 120, something in there. But because I know how to strum it, I could probably make this sound pretty good. And you'd never say, wow, too bad you don't have a better ukulele. But I know that if I have this uke, I'll sound better. So given a choice, I'll always pick a better ukulele. If I was in a race, I'd always pick the Ferrari, you know, or at least the fastest thing I could get my hands on. So this is a good enough uke, though, to learn and play. But if you get one that's blue with white flowers on it, or the sound hole looks like a palm tree or a turtle, or it says Aloha or Hawaii anywhere on it, it should be immediately suspect. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but lots of times, if you look at like ukulele players that are playing ukulele professionally, nobody's playing a blue ukulele with white flowers on it, right? So that you should know at that point. I always recommend you go to a music store where you get a big variety of ukuleles and the person behind the counter knows a lot about them. So you can ask a question and they will be able to answer your questions. And in particular, I'm going to be biased because I own a music store. It's called Lahaina Music. So, Lahaina Music.
Names, like, you know,
but it's a good one. I would recommend going to a company that makes ukuleles rather than that makes guitars. The reason why is because oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes the ukulele side of the company and a guitar maker's company is like, oh yeah, and let's make a couple ukuleles because why not? But a ukulele maker, usually they're just making ukes. So generally across a given price range, my experience is you get better results from people who just make ukes. That's their passion, if that makes sense.
So, yeah, so what are some of the name brands?
Good brands that I would look at, if you wanted like the best brands, I think are Ko Aloha and Kamaka for Hawaiian handmade solid wood holy grail ukuleles. If you want to look like an under $500 price range, I'd look at Kala. Kala makes really good ukes in good price ranges. So if you don't want to drop $1,000 on a uke, Kala, by the way, also makes $1,000 ukes, but the ones I'd really recommend from that line are the ones that are like if you take a $100 Kala versus a $100 something else, generally speaking, the Kala is going to be better. And the same thing in all the price ranges between about 100 and 500. I've tried them all, so that would be my recommendation to you.
About a half a dozen different ones from this guy.
Well, this is used.
Well, its list price is about $370 or $380, but I'll sell it to you for $320, which is about 20% off, which is, by the way, what we sell most of the ukes in the store, 20% off. So you can take advantage of that if you want to. Not to turn it into an advertisement for Lahaina Music, but I love that question.
I mean, you deserve to answer that.
Okay, if you go down the main highway into Lahaina town, don't go to Front Street because you get lost and probably pay more because the rent's higher. And don't take the bypass because you end up on the other side of the island. Just go straight down the highway. Do you know where the Safeway is, Lahaina Cannery Mall?
Yes.
Okay, so if you stay on the main highway, go 2 signals past where this Cannery Mall is, you'll pass a Taco Bell, and then the next intersection there's a Subway sandwich shop on the corner. That's right where we are, right next to Subway. Okay, back to ukulele. Let's start with our same 3 chords again, and we'll do something. Let's see, are we ready to make it? Do we want to make it a little more challenging, or do we want to stay right at this level?
Take it up a notch.
Take it up a notch, okay. And for any of you that were like, oh no, don't worry. You don't have to take it up a notch, because what we're going to do is we're going to show you little tricks that you can do that make it a little more interesting because you're there, while at the same time, if you're holding on for dear life playing G6, you can just smile and strum G6, because just like we said before, you're in the band, you're on the right chord. But if you wanted to, you could do this little move. Check this out. See that little slide with my left hand? Va-voom. So I take both fingers and slide them to the first fret, but only for a fraction of a second. It needs to happen about as fast as you say the word vavoom. 2, 3, 4, vavoom. 2, 3, 4, vavoom. 2, 3, 4, vavoom. And again, if you don't want to do the vavoom, you can just smile and strum G6. You're going to blend right in. You don't have to do the vavoom, but if you want to, it is kind of fun. We call it sassy G6. Now let's go to the C. Now you might be thinking to yourself, now Jason, C is our favorite chord because it only takes one finger. All I got to do is get my ring finger on the bottom string 3rd fret, and C is a piece of cake. And now I'm going to make it more challenging. But you don't have to. But if you wanted to, you could do this. See what I'm doing on the top string with my first finger? So while my ring finger holds down the C chord, my first finger is doing what's called a boogie woogie on the top string. So I'm going on again, off again on the 2nd fret. And do you have to do that? No, not at all. Let your neighbor do the hard part. You can smile and strum C. You're on the right chord and you're in the band, right? If you want to make it harder than this, you can go open, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. Do you have to do that? No, not at all. But if you want to, go for it. Are there 3 layers harder than that? Yes, there are. Are we going to show them to you? Not right now, but I'll show you after class if you want. Let's go back to, if you do this for too long, people will start on the other side of the courtyard. You'll hear, Mustang Sally! And it sounds a lot like that one. But okay, let's go back to G6 though, because otherwise we're going to end up in Mustang Sally. G6, let's go back to our G6. So we've got an optional slide. Let's pick a song that we can take advantage of these moves that you also know. How about Blue Suede Shoes? You guys have probably heard Blue Suede Shoes. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Well, it's a 1 for the money, a 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go see, but don't you step on my blue suede G6 shoes. Up to D7, you could do anything. C, lay off of my blue G6 suede shoes. There we go. Well, it's a 1 for the money, a 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go see, don't you step on my blue suede G6 shoes. Up to D7, you could do anything. C, lay off of my blue G6 suede shoes. Now, if we've got somebody that knows how to play solos and they know how to do this stuff, can they do that? Sure. Like that, for example. All of a sudden, we could be playing, and if you're playing next to somebody who starts playing a solo, sometimes people will say, whoa, I should probably stop now. And it's like, no, it's exactly the opposite. They're relying upon you to hold down the fort so that they can play a solo and have it be meaningful. So if you ever sit down next to somebody, they're a better ukulele player than you, and count yourself lucky. You can learn a lot just by watching and listening to what they do. And most ukulele players are really happy to be generous with their knowledge. It's sort of part of the culture of ukulele. It's not like, I'm not going to show you what I did.
Exactly.
Like, that's
not the Hawaiian
That's
vibe.
not
No.
the way that we do it out here. Now, where I grew up, not to pick on where I grew up, so I won't even tell you, but it's a major metropolitan city. And the whole scene there is very different. It's like, this is my gig, you don't play with me. And here it's like, why don't we just play together? We'll both have more fun. So that's sort of the spirit of ukulele. You want to catch that. That's important. Because if I don't teach you that, and all I do is to teach you how to shred on a ukulele, then I didn't teach you anything useful. All right, let's do another one. G6. Let's see what we know. Let's do a contemporary Hawaiian song. This is called White Sandy Beach. It's made popular by a guy named Iz, who had a huge influence on Hawaiian music. Iz. Yeah, short for Israel, and we call him Iz because to say his last name is kind of challenging. Kamakabivo Ole. Who could say that? Is, right? All right, G6. This is called White Sandy Beach. If you need a little inspiration, right on the other side of that hedge there is a white sandy beach. I saw you in my dream. We were walking hand in hand. Now go to sea on a white sandy beach. G6 of Hawaii. Good. We were playing in the sun, and we were having so much fun. Sea on a white sandy beach. G6 of Hawaii. Up to D7. The sound of the ocean. C soothes my restless. D7 soothes. The sound of the ocean. C rocks me all. D7 nylon. G6 last night in my dreams I saw your face again. See, we were there in the sun on a white sandy beach. G6 of Hawaii. Little slide if you want to. All right. It's a beautiful song. It doesn't need to be that hard. Can we make that song harder? Of course we can make that song harder. We can make all of these songs harder, but we don't need to. And if we do, it comes again at a disadvantage. It may be you're the only person that can play it, and that's not as much fun. So as you get better and better at ukulele, and do get better at ukulele, do learn more than 3 chords for sure, but first get 3 chords really solid so you can play all sorts of songs.
And then as you get those on the internet?
You can find those on the internet. More importantly, if you wanted a little ukulele booklet that's 20 pages long and has all these songs in it and be totally free, I've got it at the store. Amazingly.
You didn't mention the name.
It's Lahaina Music.
Google that.
Lahaina Music, or you can hit our website, lahainamusic.com, and you can download the book if you want. But come by the store and it's a little easier. We'll fold it together with staples. It'll look like a little book for you. By the way, I'm also writing a more advanced ukulele book, which is, I'm setting myself a deadline of the end of the year. So I'm trying to finish it up. I'm canceling extra events right and left just to finish this book, but I think it's really good. It'll have a beginning section and an intermediate section and then an advanced section. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be really good. But the beginner one's totally free. So if you want the beginner one, come on by. We also, by the way, have a YouTube channel that has a bunch of tutorials about how to play ukulele better, and that's also free. Just look up Lahaina Music on YouTube, because if you look up Jason Jerome on YouTube, I have no idea what you'll find. Here I am changing the Hollywood sign. No, that's not on there. We deleted that one. No. Okay, I can neither confirm nor deny what I may or may not have done in college. G6, now you know what town I'm from. All right. G6. How about another Beatles song? How about a song with some singing? We're gonna raise the bar. Here's your note. Ooh, let's all sing that together. Ooh. See how easy it is to be a choir director? My wife got a master's degree to be able to do that, and I just did it.
It's Hawaii.
No, my wife is really talented. She's a better musician than I am. In case any of you ever meet her, you'll be like, I can't believe she married you. I'm like, I can't believe she married me either. Oh yeah, geez, oh yeah, all right. G6. I can only make you sing one note as a choir. My wife could get you to do amazing things. Okay, more of the Beatles. We like the Beatles. She was just 17. See, you know, G6 what I mean. And the way she looked was way beyond D7 compared. Back down to G6, and I'll never dance. C with another. Here's your big note. Here we go. Ooh, good. G6, and I saw her. D7 stand. G6 in there. Now we're catching on to the spirit of it. Well, she looked at me. C and I G6 could see that before too long I'd fall in love. D7 with her. G6 and I'll never dance. C with another. Here's your note again. Here we go. Ooh, good. G6 and I saw her. D7 stand. G6 in there. C, well, my heart went boom when I crossed that room, and I held her hand. D7 in my hand. C, then back to the G6 where we danced through the night. C, and we held each other. G6 tight. And before too long, I fell in love. D7 with her. Back to G6, and I'll never dance. C with another. Here's your last chance. Here we go. Ooh, woo. G6. Since I saw her. D7 stand. G6 in there. G6 since I saw her. D7 stand. C in there. And end on the G6. All right. That was a good one.
You meant shredded fingernails, right?
Shred. Well, yeah, right. All right.
Make going here on the little jazzy thing you do by going up here.
Yep.
Are you doing the same strings or are you going up?
Good question. I may have inadvertently played more chords in there than I was aware I was playing. So what I may have done is I may have done a sliding G6, and when I'm on the D7, I could do the same move, a sliding D7. So for this side, G6, I can slide the G6 and the D7. How to save a marriage, 101, right, you're both right. And at one point I may have played a C7 as a transitional chord, but you wouldn't need to do that. Sometimes I forget when I play more advanced chords. And again, could I make that song harder? Sure, I could make it harder, but do I need to make it harder? Evidently not, because they're sounding pretty good right now, right? I mean, we're ready to take the show on the road and go play the other side of the building in the lobby, right? No, the view here is
Beautiful.
this is an amazing class. The Royal Lahaina has been very good to us on our ukulele class here, our humble class, and this cool little shelter and the amazing view, and it's like, what's not to like? Okay.
Question.
Yes.
You know, when your fingers get sore, you were telling us the other day, so what is you supposed to do? Shake your hand out and just...
Yeah, okay, so if you're, you've been playing so well, I forgot to give you a break. So if your left hand gets tired and you look at it, you go, wow, what are those little red lines? Yeah. It's because you carved little canyons in your fingertips and there's no more blood in your hands. So let your left arm stretch out like this and go, shake out your hand, get some blood flow down there.
Okay.
It's kind of like Taylor Swift. Shake it off, shake it off. Kind of hard to sing that high for me. Right? And then the little mini fingertip massage. Right?
I felt my little bit of carpal.
And then click your heels together 3 times. It doesn't work in slippers. But try it when you're back home. Maybe it'll bring you
right back here.
Right back to the Royal Lahaina, right? Bam, just like that.
Fabulous.
That would be cool. All right, G6. Let's do another one. Do we have time? I think we're good. Oh, we're going a little bit over. Let's see. Let's pause for more questions. Any other questions right now?
One real quick.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were different sizes.
That's a really good question. Okay.
I just assumed
So
they were
different
the same
sizes.
size.
The smallest size ukulele is called soprano, and it's played by people that are shorter in stature. Sometimes it could be a kid, or it could be somebody who just has shorter arms. And now I get a lot of grief about this on some of our YouTube videos because some people it's like, if you love a soprano ukulele, that's fine. But based upon the tens of thousands of people that I've taught how to play ukulele, here's the best way to size a uke. You get your upper arm, put the uke up against your upper arm like this. Then you fold your arm over the top, grab it where the neck joins the body, and if you can do that, it's probably a good size ukulele for you, because when you play it, you're going to have stability because it's going to be cradled up against your upper arm here. And when you strum it, you're strumming it in the sweet spot where it sounds nice, and you don't have to do anything weird to do that. Now, let's switch, you and I. I'll give you this one, which is called a tenor, by the way, large, fancy word for large. This one's called a concert. Concert is a fancy word for medium. So the smallest size is soprano. Soprano just means small. Concert is a great marketing term from 100 years ago for medium. And then tenor means large. But they're all tuned alike and they're all played alike. Now if I play this, can I play a concert and make it sound easy? Sure. But look where I'm strumming it now. I'm strumming it too far out over the neck. So I'm losing a little bit of tone. You don't want to strum it out over the neck. So to adapt, I'm going to get stage 1 guitaritis, right? But as soon as I get stage 1 guitaritis, as soon as I create a gap here, it's going to be harder to stabilize the ukulele. And once it's unstable, now I have stage 2 guitaritis, now I have stage 3 guitaritis, and then we're back to smoke on the water, right? Stage 4.
So probably medium would be.
So for you, you could play a tenor, but the other thing you're going to notice is because the neck's longer, you're going to be reaching way out here, and it's going to be harder to get your hand in the right position. So if the neck is too long, if I take I'm going to just take this uke, and if I slide it out here, my hand's naturally going to go into this position, and that's not a position we want on your hand on a uke, right? Because now you've got this part of your hand touching, and this part of your hand should never touch. So when people have a uke that's too big, they get into left hand problems. When they get a uke that's too small, they get into right arm problems. And so if you get a uke that's just right, like Goldilocks, everything's easier. So you set yourself up to have it be the easiest it can be. So for you, that'd be a concert.
Okay.
So let's switch back. I'm happy to let you play this uke too, but that one fits you better.
This one's hurting my arm, like right there.
Yeah.
It's so big and fat. But I
You
can't put my
could
hands
switch and try a concert size ukulele, and it might be a little easier. In fact, ordinarily I would have given you, yeah, go ahead and switch.
I just want to see.
Ordinarily I would have given you a concert, but at the end when I was passing out ukes, I think I was running out of concert sizes.
There,
so yeah, see, all of a sudden that'd be a lot easier for you to play, just because it's the right size. That one is a tenor.
It's right up
That's a
here in
large
my
size, yeah,
zone.
because you've got longer arms, broader shoulders, bigger hands. So for you, it'd be easier to play.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt my arm at all. It's
Yep.
right
All of a
perfect.
sudden, it's like boom.
Wow, and I've been thinking, why's my arm hurting so bad?
Yeah. So just
I'm
getting
sorry,
getting the right size ukulele does make a difference, and we want to set you up to play ukulele successfully. So I'm gonna, of course, as much as I can, teach you how can you make this the easiest and the most fun it could possibly be.
Yeah.
Once it's fun, you'll practice.
I'll just,
We gotta get checked out.
Once you practice, I could teach you anything. So the trick is we want it to be as fun as it could be, as quickly as it could be, so that you practice. And once you're practicing, I could turn you into geniuses if you take a lesson every week or
we
something.
moved here.
If you move here, right. Or if you want to fly me back to where you live, you could do that. Or you could
wouldn't
catch,
like it. I mean, you would.
I don't know, where do you live?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
I mean, North Carolina's beautiful too, but there's nothing like
You
this.
have to learn the language though.
Yeah, I have to
It's
learn
really-
that. All right. The only thing I remember about North Carolina, I've been in North Carolina. I remember the Hornets because my dad.
like the buzzy ones or the ones that
No, not the team, the actual Hornets. My dad. Seriously, this is not a cartoon plot. It's not Wile E. Coyote. But my dad wanted to. He thought he would do the people were staying with a favor, and he took a can of Raid and sprayed it in the hornet's nest.
Oh, God.
They all flew out.
And meanwhile, he told us all to stay inside the house in case something went wrong. Of course it does, because there's 100,000 hornets in there and you only kill the first 1,000. And after that, they were chasing him. He was running around the house. I mean, it was like a cartoon, and he was knocking on the door. We're not opening the door. Are you nuts? You told us don't open the door. So he jumped in the pool, and they finally went away. But
We hate to be rude, but we
Yep.
have to check out.
all
We
right.
didn't realize how much fun we were having.
Well, that's okay.
Where
I
can we
got to get on to
carefully
my
put
next
this?
class. Well, I guess I could take it right here.
Okay.
So thanks.
Thank you. Bless you.
Right on.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for coming. If you
everybody.
wanted
Thank
to,
you.
I have a handout if you want that has a copy
Come
of all
to
the
your place.
chords.
Oh, that would be
And
awesome.
I have them right here too. If you want,
Okay.
we can give it to you.
You don't have to
Thanks
write it down,
everybody for
Lahaina?
coming. Let's see. Well, let's see. Let's lay it like
I'll
this.
let your friend
Yep.
hold it.
Yes.